Is this the sight of two bunnies who are confused as to why they can no longer eat lettuce? They're like, normally I'd be eating my breakfast right now, which would consist of lettuce and okra leaves and plenty of other green giant leaves. But I can't because I can't get into my garden. Yeah, well, that's right, bunnies. It's not your garden, it's my garden. And you can eat grass or any of the other green leaves around. But you can't eat my lettuce. Another rainy day on this Wednesday. It's funny, for a week now I've known exactly what I needed to be doing, building that fence and building the gate. But now, it's funny, I was like, well, what am I gonna do next? But there's a lot that I need to do. First thing I gotta do is cut the grass. You know, there's a lot of things that I learned over the past week of building this fence and this gate. One of the things that I definitely learned is how to work with chicken wire. You know, I knew that once you cut chicken wire, it's gonna be really sharp. But I don't think I understood just how sharp it is. And on the first day, I had several minor cuts on my arm and on my leg. But I think I learned pretty quickly, and then on the days off after the first day when I was using chicken wire, I don't think I really cut myself much at all. But it's definitely something to be watching out for. And then I also learned that it's important to bend the sharp parts out of the way, because your clothes are gonna get like caught on something, or just walking by you might get sliced right open if you have those exposed cut sides of the chicken wire just out. So that's why I've been bending those exposed sharp parts in towards like the board, or just away from where people might be walking. Nothing wrong with a little natural fertilizer around the okra plants. That was the grass clippings that I just collected from cutting the grass. I just put it around the okra plants. Honestly, I don't know what it's gonna do. Can't hurt it, right? When the grass decomposes, it's just gonna turn back into minerals, and gonna feed the plants, hopefully. You know, another thing that I learned working with the chicken wire is that, yes, burying it, you know, a couple inches down into the ground is gonna be helpful and gonna prevent rabbits from digging under, but might not be worth the effort unless you have the proper tools. So you can just fold it over like I did on all the other sides, and it's gonna do the same thing. And you can staple it in like I'm gonna do so it's nice and snug to the ground so the rabbits can't dig under it and they shouldn't be able to get through. That is the first okra of the season, finally. The okra's way behind right now because it was just stunted, I think, at the beginning of the season because it was really cold for a while and it just took forever for it to get hot, and then the rabbits eat the leaves, so the growth has just been stunted. But now I got the first okra. That should be the first of many. I love okra. I will eat it every day. Another thing about the chicken wire is that it is extremely difficult to unroll it out of the roll that it comes in, because it's rolled so tightly and it's metal, so it doesn't want to let go of that shape. So you saw in some of the videos that I was using different things to keep it unrolled as I was cutting it on the, like when I laid it flat on the ground and roll it out, and I would put blocks or rocks or something on it to keep it unrolled. And that was fine. But what's really interesting, what I found really helpful, was when I started bending that lower foot of the chicken wire to get it ready to go against the fence, and then that bottom part be laying against the ground. That bend actually helped support the fence laying flat, so it didn't want to roll back up because of that bend, which made it actually really convenient and really much easier to get the fence into place to where I could then set it up. So if you ever need to decide between putting the fence in the ground or laying it on the ground like I did, just know that doing the latter, laying it on the ground, actually makes it easier setting up the whole fence. So it was worth it, in my opinion. I'm gonna pick a bunch of cucumbers here. I'm gonna have to make another huge cucumber salad or something because there's way too many cucumbers. So I think maybe the last thing I learned about chicken wire is that it is really difficult with only your hands to pull chicken wire tight. But I also realized that for an application such as mine in my garden, it doesn't have to be exact, it doesn't have to be perfectly pulled taut for it to be effective. It may not look the best, but for my purposes, I'm okay with it. If you're trying to work with chicken wire and you want your chicken wire fence to be pulled really nice and taut, then you're gonna have to have some sort of application or machine that connects to the end or to both ends, and then connect that to like a winch, and then winch it really tight. It's just not possible to do it and get it completely tight with using only your hands. Just isn't gonna happen. Unless you're only using a small section, I guess. But if you're putting up a whole fence, then the only way you're gonna get it completely tight is with some type of machinery such as a winch. It's hot again. So, some other things I learned. Obviously, I learned that chickens can chew through plastic. Me putting up that plastic fence was completely done in vain because the rabbits just chewed straight through it. And that was the impetus for putting up the chicken wire fence, which so far seems to have been working. So that's pretty obvious. That's something that I should have known. I think the largest thing that I really learned was how to build a gate. I did a lot of research trying to figure out like the best way to construct a wooden gate so that it will not sag for at least a while. Pretty much any wooden gate is going to sag eventually. It's just the nature of wood, how it over time it deteriorates and gets heavier as it gets rained on, and then eventually it's going to sag. So, and then also obviously I learned about posts and how you're supposed to do posts for gates, and obviously I did not do that correctly. You're supposed to put concrete in your post. The post that's going to be, at least the post that's going to be supporting the weight of the gate itself. I didn't do that, but then I, improvised in a way by putting concrete slabs, or pavers I think is what they are, down at the bottom in the ground. I buried them in the ground, and then also putting the board between the two beams at ground level to try to give it even more support. And only time will tell whether or not those things were successful, or if they're going to be successful. So I guess we'll see. But I learned a lot about gate building for sure. Hey Brian, this is Micah Brooker. I called you a couple weeks ago asking about getting some wood chips from you, and you said that you could. Are you still? That's still a thing that you're willing to do? It's. Yeah, I mean, you would just have to dump it at the bottom of my driveway. It is kind of a hill, but it shouldn't be. It's not that steep of a decline for a truck to come down. Well, he said it might be sometime this week that he's able to drop by a load of chips. So maybe tomorrow or Friday. That would be fantastic. I'm kind of ready for it now. A lot of this has just been prepping for waiting for the wood chips to get here, and then I can lay out the wood chips where I want them, and then let that start decomposing, decomposing, and then just feeding the soil and turning that soil into good stuff. And I also want to plant some crops to harvest in fall, or even some winter crops too, in those wood chips to help get a living root in the soil, and that living root being in the soil is going to help break down all of that stuff even more and get good fungus into the soil, which is what I want. So that's good news. Finally he answered the phone. And if you're wondering why I need a lot of wood chips, it's because I want to transform this backyard behind me into a thriving food forest. A place where I can just walk out and grab a peach, or grab an apple, or grab a pear, or grab some asparagus, or grab some strawberries. You name it, I want to grow it. I want to grow it in this yard, and I'm at the point to where it's like, what's the point in just having grass? So I've done a lot of research and come to the conclusion that the best thing to do is to create good soil, because the soil here is not great. It's the clay and rock. So to create good soil, I'm gonna put down a covering of wood chips, and then just layer that over time. And as that decomposes, it's gonna create good living soil, as long as there's also a living root in the ground as well. So I contacted a tree service near me, and as you just heard, he's gonna bring me a load of wood chips, and then it's gonna be a lot of work wheelbarrowing it all out to the place that I want it. I'm gonna start at the back of the yard, or in the garden that exists now, because I'm gonna put wood chips in there as well, because the wood chips are beneficial to all those plants as well. So that's the plan, and I'm trying to document that through these vlogs, and hopefully in a year or 2 or 3 or 5 or 10, this whole place will look quite different. It'll be full of living, thriving trees and bushes and vines and all sorts of plants that are bearing delicious food, because why not? So, if you are at all interested in following this journey of mine to transform this backyard into a food thriving forest, then please do hit the subscribe button and the bell button, so that you'll be notified when I post new videos. And if you liked this video at all, then please do leave a like and comment. Let me know what you thought of anything that I did today, or anything that I've said today in this video. I do very much appreciate any support, because I believe that we are better together. We're better learning together, and all of what I've done is really me just watching other people's videos and learning from their videos, and just researching as much as possible. And I'm not done learning, and I don't think anyone's done learning. So yeah, if you have any suggestions or thoughts or concerns about anything that you've seen me do, or anything that I'm talking about, feel free to let me know down in the comment section below.